Just so you know how to do it, I wanted to talk about custom audiences so that you know how to set them up and where to find them. I'll jump back over here, just like how we select all the interests, and you can do any behavior targeting, creative targeting, hashtag interactions, anything like that. It's just above that. So right above the location is where you would input a custom audience. So I don't have any created on this ad account, but they will all show up on this list here. Custom audiences, which is, let's say, everybody who's purchased, or everybody who's viewed your content, or everybody who's added to cart. Then you can build lookalike audiences off of any of those data points. So you could target lookalike audiences for your purchases, which basically means, hey, if you have 100 plus purchases or a certain amount of purchases and it lets you build a lookalike audience, that means your pixel has enough data to have an average of who your customer is. It knows roughly how old they are, where they are from, like their location. It knows roughly what interests they are interested in, the stuff that they're buying, who they're following on TikTok, all these different data points. It can take an average and then go find people inside of a very large audience that are similar to those. So it's a really effective form of advertising. It's one of my favorite ways to scale on every single ad platform. So the way that we create this, once you have sales coming in, there's no point in doing this from scratch. You're going to go over here to audiences underneath assets, and I'm kind of going to run you through here a little bit too of like helpful targeting type and what we use this for. But if you go back over here, you will just hit create audience. It's going to start with a custom audience. You're going to be doing it based on website traffic, people who have viewed, page view, people who have viewed your contents, like viewed your video, add to cart. And again, the further you go, like the more, it's called a lower funnel event. So for an example, a purchase is the bottom of the funnel because that's the last step they bought. Higher funnel event would be they added it to cart, and even higher funnel, they viewed it, they liked it, whatever. Those are higher funnel events. So the more narrow you get, obviously, the smaller the audience is going to be. You can change the timeline that it's in. Let's say we want everybody who has completed a payment in the last 90 days through our pixel. So you'd select your pixel in there. You could get more specific if you want, but there's not really a need to. Then I would name it, like complete payment, 90 days, so that I know. And for this audience, it'd be very easy, and I always do this. I leave on auto refresh, so it automatically adds in any new people. And so you can do that. But now you don't want to go target and run ads to people who've already bought. Maybe you do. Maybe that's some strategy I'm missing out on, unless you're doing like a new product launch and you have a ton of purchases where this audience would ever be relevant to do that. But what I would do is leave this auto refresh on, and then once you create this, then you're going to go back here, click create, and hit lookalike, and now you're going to click it off of your custom audience. So now you're going to select that lookalike, that custom audience around 90 days worth of purchases. You're going to click that, and now you're building off of that audience of people who have purchased for you. So you're going to leave all these as they are. Placement is going to be TikTok, location. There's not really a point in selecting any of this because you're choosing that on the ad group level anyways. And then you have 3 different options. Narrow is always going to become an audience that TikTok gives you that warning label for that we see sometimes, where it says they think your audience is too small. Now again, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't make sales on it, but we always like bigger. So truly, through my experience with lookalike audiences, the narrow ones don't work that great for purchase. They can work well for add to cart, for initiate checkout, for view content, because it's broader. There's more people in there. So balanced and broad both work extremely well. And I still do very frequently get that too small of an audience notification when I'm using balanced. So broad is honestly the primary thing I'm using for purchase lookalikes. So I'll use that. I'll type this, and then for an example, it would be like, PUR, this is just what I do, purchase LLA 90 days broad. So that's what I would be launching. And this could be the targeting, the only targeting if I wanted it to, inside of one of my ad groups, inside of a CBO, for an example. So what I do first, I'd go launch a new campaign that's targeting the budgets on the ad set level. And I'd go launch this. I'd see how it performs. And then I'd try some other ones, doing lookalikes off of view content and add to cart. Those are things that I try. So after you've created that, again, I already showed you where to put that in, just right above the location selection for the countries. Just a couple things that I wanted to mention on top of this. Lookalikes are super accurate, even if it's not on a purchase. It's just a good point of data. Also, you can and should mix them. So if you're going to build a lookalike, that's broad, that's narrow, that's balanced, whatever, for purchase, you can do the same thing for add to cart, for view content. You can mix all of those together, find different combinations once they're working, just like you would with standard interests. Exclude purchases. I don't particularly care about targeting them again. I'm not worried about them seeing the ad, but I've noticed a little bit better performance when I do exclude that original custom audience audience that we created that we built the lookalike off of. So that same audience that would be listed on here, you'd have two audiences now. You'd have the custom audience, all purchases, then you'd have the lookalike that you made off of that. So when I actually go into the ads, I then exclude that targeting for the custom audience, not the lookalike, so that I can remove those people. And retargeting, like I mentioned, is not great on TikTok, but the lookalikes work. So once you're down the road, I honestly recommend other platforms. Google Shopping is great, as well as Facebook for some super basic retargeting. Obviously, go ahead and give retargeting a shot for your audiences. All you would be doing is making custom audiences for people who view content, people who added a cart, all those, and then you would exclude purchases and you would just target those people. You wouldn't be targeting the LLAs on those audiences, right? Because those are other people. You'd be targeting those specific audiences on a lower budget. Start with $20 a day. So that'd be a basic way to start retargeting. That is a little bit more about the custom audiences, how to make them, how to put them in. It's a short video. There's no reason to go beyond this, but those are a couple key things. It's a very, very helpful targeting type, and it's something that I use a lot of, especially and mostly mixed inside of CBOs. But the more the better. Those are more good, very narrow audiences in terms of who your customer is, while still having a lot of people inside of those audiences. You can definitely have, purchase lookalikes that are 100 million plus when they're the broad. Again, you have narrow, balanced, and broad. Broad is definitely very, very large. So that's what you can do with the custom audiences, and I definitely recommend you try it out as soon as you have enough sales where it lets you actually make a lookalike.